Colleagues, hello. My name is Nadia. I would like to welcome you here on our webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Today's webinar. I understand that the situation in the world is a little bit difficult, so we really appreciate your time and the ability to be a part of this webinar. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce a number of rules. So first of all, as you have noticed, all your microphones are muted. In case you have any questions, please feel free to write them in Q&A section. My colleague and I are constantly checking the Q&A section, and we will respond to all the questions there. There will be responses either orally throughout the webinar or in a private message to you. Also, the webinar is now being recorded. And we will send the record of the webinar when it finishes. And lastly, there will be a very short poll at the end of the webinar. It will be really appreciated if you could spend just 1 minute and give us the feedback on the webinar. It will help us to make the webinar more interesting for you in the future and also more precise. Let me shortly introduce our team. So we are Indeed Identity, and we are a group of companies founded in 2010. We've been working in cybersecurity for 10 years now, and we are a team of over 50 professionals. There are 3 main areas of our expertise. They are multi-factor authentication, privilege access management, and also PKI management. Globally, we are present in 2 regions. The first one is the EMEA region, and we have a headquarters located in Lithuania. And also APAC region, we have an office located in Singapore. So these offices are responsible for all the technical and business assistance. All in all, there are more than 50 partners worldwide that are present in 20 different countries. For 10 years, we've been enhancing the cybersecurity of customers from different economic areas. We've done hundreds of projects, and we know how to protect companies from different threats. It makes us experts in providing comprehensive access management, whether of regular users, privileged users, or customers. So our customers are representatives of different economic areas. It can be government agencies, oil and gas corporations, telecommunication companies, different manufacturing companies. And now let's switch to the topic of the webinar, privilege access management. PAM software works with privileged users. And I'm pretty sure that you have privileged users in your company as well. Who are these people? Usually it is system administrators, remote workers, some third-party contractors who perform different actions within your infrastructure. They can install or remove software, upgrade the operating system, modify some systems, or configure applications. And it is very important to understand what these people are doing within your infrastructure. But why? Privileged users have the extended powers. With these powers, privileged users can make sweeping and fundamental changes within your company. So you can ask any IT manager and they will confirm it. But how come that privilege misuse is still one of the 3 top patterns most associated with breaches? Also, right now we are witnessing the global changes in the business processes. The pandemic crisis has caused a drastic increase in the number of remote employees. Moreover, experts say that remote work will be here to stay. It will become the new normal in the nearest future. So it means that the number of privileged users will be increasing in your company. And the question is, would you like your workers to work for your company or against your company? We have our own ready-to-use tool to protect, control, and audit the company's privilege accounts. The product is called Indeed Privilege Access Manager, and today we will be talking about it specifically. Indeed, Privilege Access Manager can address a number of tasks. So, for example, it can make video and text records of the privileged sessions. It can implement two-factor authentication before granting privilege access. Right now, we support one-time password as the authentication method, but with the help of integration with our second product, we will provide other authentication methods as well. For example, biometrics. It will be possible soon. Also, with Indeed PAM, we can determine the parameters of privileged access. So, for example, who is granted access, to what resources, for what period of time. And of course, we can discover unregistered privilege accounts and take them subsequently under control. One of the use cases that we have done was for European Bearing Corporation. It is a very large manufacturing company that produces bearings. So they didn't know the exact number of privilege accounts within their infrastructure, and they also wanted to provide a secure way of authentication to their system administrators. We could address these tasks, and apart from it, of course, we could make video and text records of the privilege sessions. We could detect their privilege accounts, and now they're fully aware how many privilege accounts are there, and they fully control these accounts. And also, we provided two-factor authentication for their system administrators. That was the end of my part. Right now, we will switch to the technical demonstration. The technical demonstration will be done by my colleague. His name is Max, and he's our leading technical support engineer. But before we proceed with the demo, let me take a look at the Q&A section. If you have some questions so far, I can address them. I will wait for 15 seconds, and then we will proceed with the technical part. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to send them right now. Okay, I see that no questions are coming at the moment. So let's switch to the technical part. Max, I give you my word, so please proceed.
Hello, everybody. One moment, I will share my screen. Today we are going to talk about Indeed PAM, how its individual modules are arranged, and consider the main user scenarios. On your screens, you can see the scheme of the Indeed PAM. In the center, there is the Indeed PAM server. It's responsible for the logic of the entire solution. It includes the following components: access policies for centralized distribution of settings and the rules for resources and privileged accounts. Session archive for saving videos and screenshots. Secure storage of privileged accounts for saving logins and passwords. To store events, we use separate components Indeed log server. It's designed to aggregate and store events. Indeed PAM server is managed using the admin console. The console is the application that allows you to configure and manage the system. In Indeed PAM servers, connectors are implemented for service operations on resources. Basic operations that are performed using connectors: reset password or SSH key, and account discovery. Connectors are supported: Active Directory, Windows, Linux, and DBMS. Another important component is the Access Server. The Access Server runs on Microsoft Remote Desktop Services and is intermediary between employees and resources. The Access Server performs video recording of sessions and its processing for saving to the archive of sessions. At the moment, we support RDP, SSH, and client applications sessions. As a client, you can use a browser to access web applications or client to work with DBMS. For example, Microsoft SQL Management Studio. During SSH sessions, a separate SSH proxy component is implemented. It allows you to open session with this full text login. Consider a typical scenario. The employee performs the entrance to self-service. using two-factor authentication. The employee downloads the RDP file to access to the resource. The file is used to connect to access server. The user again performs two-factor authentication after the access server checks the user and his permission. Then, from the access server, sessions to the resource opens. Or the employee connect to the indeed PAM SSH proxy from SSH client and login using two-factor authentication. After authentication, SSH proxy displays the list of resources. Then, from the SSH proxy, SSH session to the resource opens. This is a general principle of the solution. Now we turn to the demonstration. Okay, now let's look at the main topics of the webinar. The first is the admin console. It's the main tool providing user-friendly and effective control over privileged sessions. The console is used to create and determine the parameters of privileged access. The admin console interface is very simple and divided into sections. Let's look at the most important sections. Users. This section is designed for working with Active Directory users. This section contains real employees who need to be granted permission to access the organization's resources. These can be employees who work in the organization's network or remote employees and contractors. Resources. This section is designed for the organization's resources. You can add servers running on different operating systems, web applications, or client applications. Here is listed everything there you need to provide access via indeed PAM. Now there are 4 resources in the system that we can provide access to. Accounts. This section is designed for working with privileged accounts. The section contains accounts with added resources. These can be local, DBMS, web application, or domain accounts. Domains. The domain section is required to add an Active Directory domain, from which you can get privileged accounts or domain computers. They can automatically retrieve accounts from Active Directory security group and add domain computers from Active Directory containers. Active sessions and all sessions. Active and completed user sessions are available in the sections. The administrator of the solution can monitor various parameters of the session. For example, which user used the permission, which account they use, and which resource they are on. There are also many criteria for searching for active or completed sessions. Events. All user and administrative events are placed in the events section. A detailed description and search by criteria are available for each event. These sections and features provide easy and flexible management of system objects. Let's move on to the next scenario. This is setting up access right. I will show you how you can set the main parameters of the privileged session. For example, who can privilege rights, what resources they can access, and what the time. Okay, we looked at the users, resources, and account sections. All objects that they contain required paths of the permission. Let's go to the permissions section and create a new permission together. Section permissions displays all permissions in the indeed PAM. You can view the detail of which permission, or revoke or suspend it. Okay, click Create. First, we need to select the Active Directory user who will get access. Test user, James. Next, you need to select the resource to which they will grant access to the user. For example, a DFS1 resource. And in conclusion, we should select the account on behalf of which the session will be opened on the resource. Indeed, PAM allows you to select not only domain or local accounts that the user doesn't know the password for, but also your own account. In this case, the user will open the session as their personal Active Directory account, but they will have to enter their password manually. This session will also be monitored in Indeed PAM. For example, EDFS1 administrator, its local account, company domain account, its domain account, and user account. They use administrator account. In the next step, we can select the start date and time of the permission and the end date and time of the permission. For example, okay, next. We can also choose the time, then you can use the permission. For example, every day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Next, create. Then the permission was created, it was displayed in the general list. Our test user got access. Great, now that we have permission, we can move on to the next scenario. Getting access to resources via RDP and SSH. These are the most popular protocols used for remote administration. Most probably you use them as well. Let's go to the user console. Now we have opened the console on behalf of the user for whom we issued permission. This is James. The list shows the name of the resources and accounts on behalf of which we will open the session. Let's start this RDP connecting to a resource named ADFS1. Click the connect button and launch the RDP file. The first factor is the domain password of the user who received permission. Now we have connected to the access server and must enter the second factor. I use the OTP code from the Google Authenticator mobile app. I leave the letters for the forward drives unchanged. So we have opened the RDP session on the ADFS1 resource on behalf of the local administrator account. For the test, let's run cmd administrator, execute the dir command, okay, and copy a file from the forward drive. Okay, let's move to the administrator console and open the active sessions section. Our user session is displayed on the list, and we can access videos, screenshots, and other logs. The profile displays a summary of the session, and 4 tabs are available for viewing. Video, the tab displays a streaming video of the active session. Okay. Text log The tab contains full text input, running applications, and active windows. Text login requires init PAM agent installation to a resource that allows you to collect data. But an agent is required only for RDP sessions. If a text log is not required, then the agent may not be installed. Also, you can search by text log or download it. Screenshots. Dip contains screenshots that are taken at specified time intervals. Such type of logging can be useful for non-critical resources. Also, you can open a screenshot or download it. Okay. Transfer it to server files. The tab contains files that they are transferred from the mapped drives to the resource. The administrator can download any file from the link and check it at his workplace. There are two functions for the session: refresh and abort. The first function is required to update the logs. The second function is required to quickly end the session. Let's abort the session. Click abort and confirm. Now the user will see the message and his session will be completed. Okay, let's go back to the user console. We have permission to access a resource named Debian. Now let's run the SSH session via init PAM SSH proxy. To do this, we need an SSH client. I will use the built-in SSH client in Windows 10. Okay, launch the client and specify data to connect. SSH command, login, and init PAM SSH proxy address. Sorry. Cindy. Enter the password and TOTP. After successful authentication, the init PAM SSH proxy returned us a list of resources that we can access via SSH. Now, select the resource number. Enter number 1. We have opened the SSH session on the Debian resource. For this type of session, only text log is available, but it doesn't require the installation of an agent, and the full input and output from the terminal are recorded. Let's go back to the admin console, active sessions, text log. For example, execute the command. Okay, and refresh log. Full input and output. Okay, end the session. So let's move on to the next scenario. Sign on access to applications. This is a unique feature in init PAM. It provides sophisticated access via any protocols to published applications. Let's go back to the user console. Our user has permission to access the pfSense web application and PostgreSQL, pfSense and PGSQL. Let's start this connecting to pfSense. We connect and run the file. So now the browser was launched as a remote application from the Access server. The address of the web application was substituted into the address bar. Then, going to the login page, our Indeed ID SSO agent component has automatically filled in the login and password fields. In this way, we gave the user access to the web application. This type of session supports video recording and screenshots. The browser is completely included in the video. If the user goes to the other tabs or settings, it will be visible on the recording. Okay, let's end the session and connect to PostgreSQL. GSQL, click connect and run the file. For the BMS connections, I use the Beaver client. The Beaver is a universal client for working with different DBMS. Indeed PAM can also be configured to work with other clients. For the Beaver, I used command line arguments. Indeed PAM transfer username and password then connected. But not all clients support pasting username and password through command line arguments. In this case, you can use the interception of the authentication form, because the Indeed ID SSO agent supports not only web applications but also desktop ones. Okay. We get access to PostgreSQL. Let's end the session and go back to the admin console. After the session ends, all recorded logs remain available offline. Go back to the active sessions, all sessions section. For example, ADFS1 session. You can view the video from the browser. Or download it. Also, text log, screenshots, and transfer to server files available too. Okay, let's look at the last scenario. Search for and add accounts to the solution. The feature allows you to automatically or manually discover privileged accounts and take them subsequently under control. Go back to the admin console, resources section. The solution supports searching for accounts on the following types of systems: Windows, Linux, Active Directory, and DBMS. The search can be performed manually or automatically. Let's see how the manual search is performed. Go to the ADFS1 resource profile and click the synchronization button. During synchronization, the solution retrieves resource data and searches for accounts. We found 3 local accounts on the ADFS1 resource. The found accounts can be used to connect to the resource. The same mechanism is used for all types of resources. Okay, colleagues, what is all I wanted to show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Max. It was really good. We have a number of questions from our participants. So, colleagues, let's do the following thing. I will read the questions out loud, and I will ask you to answer these questions. In this, I will also ask to help the product owner of Indeed Identity. It is Michael. So, Michael, the first question is, do you support Red Hat IDEA?
Hello, everyone. So speaking about Red Hat Identity Manager, We definitely can integrate with the system. Indeed, PAM has an API. It's a web API, which can be used for such type of integrations. For example, we can add privileged accounts to the system or grant access to some resources using these accounts. So it's quite sophisticated integration can be implemented. It depends on customer requirements. So we definitely can do it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Do you support HTTPS proxy?
I think you already seen how we work with web sessions. So for now, we use approach with a publication of web browser on our RDP proxy. We choose this approach because it's allows us to record video of the sessions. Because if we use, for example, HTTP proxy and just catch the traffic, it's sometimes quite often hard to understand what actually happens on the screen, because there are a lot of JavaScript on the page, a lot of dynamic content. So we decided to use web browser, publisher's web browser to access web applications.
Okay, Michael, thank you so much. The next question is, can you create access to non-AD users, for example, contractors?
For now, in PAM, we use Active Directory as a user database. So in order to grant access to employee or to a contractor, it has to have an account in Active Directory. It definitely non-privileged accounts, just user accounts, ordinary user accounts. But we needed to bind permissions to this account.
Okay, what 2FA method you support?
For now, we support one-time password, time-based one-time passwords. And also, we are planning to add more authentication methods. We have a dedicated product, Indeed Access Manager, for multi-factor authentication, which supports a lot of different methods like push notification, SMS, biometric, smart cards, etc. So we are planning to integrate our PAM solution with our Access Manager. I think it will happen in this year. So we will be able to provide a lot of different authentication technologies.
Can you send text log to other systems like Kibana, Elasticsearch in real time?
Speaking about integration with such system, we support syslog protocol, and we can send our events to such system to collect in some external application. For now, we support. We can send events such as user open sessions, close sessions, or some administrator actions like granting permissions, etc. And I think in the future we will add support to send not just events from our system, but full text log of the sessions.
Great, thank you so much. Also, how do the system secure resources, accounts, passwords?
Yes, all accounts passwords are stored in our database, and we encrypt it with symmetric algorithms. So only a PAM server can decrypt passwords from the database, because only the server has a key to encrypt data. Besides passwords, we also encrypt text logs and video recordings of the sessions.
Great. Thank you so much. The next question is, with the Beaver case, can you record sessions?
Yes, of course, any access via published applications on our proxy can be recorded. We can record a video or take some screenshots. So it's also true about browser. We access some application via browser.
Michael, can you please take a look at the first question from Mr. Gordon?
So PubSense browser is wrapped in RDP
session. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's just clarification about our demo with web browser. Yes, you're absolutely true. We publish a web browser on our proxy server and grant access to the web application via this browser. So we have SSO agents installed on the proxy server, which allow us to send credentials to web application to use a single sign-on approach, and to hide passwords from the users.
Does the PAM integrate with HSM?
For now, we don't have such integration, but definitely it's doable, and we already think about it. Integration will allow us to store privileged passwords in HSM systems. So we already has been asked about this integration, and we considering it.
Okay, great. And also last question for now is, hello, may I know system requirements for this, and can I try demo in our company? Let me answer this question. Yeah, we do have a list of system requirements. Please provide us with your email and we will send you the detailed requirements. And of course, it is possible to have a proof of concept within your company. And by the way, before we proceed with further questions, let me also give you some more information about privileged access management, because we touch these issues a lot right now. You should be able to see my screen now. Can you see it? Michael?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So indeed, Privileged Access Manager is the youngest product among other Indeed identity products. It's been on the market only for a year and a half, but despite that fact, we are not a young company. We've been doing such projects, access management projects, for a very long time now, and right now we are witnessing the cybersecurity trends and try to adapt Indeed Privileged Access Manager according to the customer's needs. We talk to them, we ask them what they want to see in our PAM, and we configure the product based on their requirements. So here is the list of some of the features that are right now on our roadmap. We will add them in the near future. If you would like to have a more detailed description of the roadmap, please feel free to send us, but I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are really flexible in terms of customization. So as Michael mentioned it several times, I also would like to mention it, that if there is something specific that you would like to see in Privileged Access Management, please feel free to let us know, and we will consider adding the required functionality into the roadmap and into the product. We are doing it for the customers right now. And also, the last thing I wanted to mention is that we understand that right now people and companies are struggling with a difficult situation due to pandemic crisis, and we have our own our own special offer to those companies who would like to take a closer look at Indeed Privileged Access Manager. We will supply it free of charge for the next 6 months. So it will be like a real scale implementation of Privileged Access Management. You will get as many licenses as you need. So it's not just a proof of concept, and it's not limited to, 10 privileged users. If you have 100 users, we will provide 100 users. 200, we will do it. Also, it will be completely free of charge. We will provide comprehensive and quick support. So we will guide you through the whole installation process, if needed, through the whole migration process, and also we will support you throughout the whole usage process, and just like we do it with our real life customers, like who pay money for it. And yeah, as I mentioned, we will send you as many licenses as you need. So in case you are interested in this proposal, here are some of the some of our contacts. You can, for example, send an email to our inbox, or you can write in chat on our website. This was the end of what I wanted to say, and I saw that there are some more questions coming. Let's move to them as well. So yeah, Mr. Thun, answering your question, you can definitely try it in your infrastructure, and as I mentioned, you can do it free of charge for the next 6 months. If you're interested, please come back to us. Another question is, how have you integrated facial recognition with this? Do you have your own facial recognition software? Rajiv, so answering your question, at the moment we do not support facial recognition in our privilege access management. We provide facial authentication of regular users, so not privileged users. It is in our roadmap to integrate our software for privilege access management with our software of multi-factor authentication, and to add facial recognition to privilege access management as well, but so far it is not supported. And yes, we do have our own facial recognition software. We are involved in a number of projects, mainly in APAC region right now, where it is required to provide facial authentication of customers and facial authentication of employees. Michael, last question for now. Do you have policy to recycle the password of the resources account?
Yes, indeed, PAM can regularly change or rotate password of storage privileged accounts. It made by schedule. For example, every night we can change such password to a new random value. And also, PAM administrator can define password policy. He or she can define some complexity requirements, which characters should be used to generate password, and set lengths of password, and something like this. So definitely, yes, we can keep a password in secret and change it to random value on a regular basis. And also, PAM administrator can roll back passwords. He can restore a password from a password history in case of if we have some server which we also restored from backup, and we need to actual password which was used on date of backup was made. So in this case, we can restore password from the history to get access to such servers.
Colleagues, so far no more questions. Maybe we should wait for 1 more minute. For other questions, and let me also add something while we are expecting other questions. So the first one is that in case it was just a very short introduction of our product, initial introduction. So if you would like to have one-to-one technical presentations, more detailed technical presentations aimed at the specifications of your tasks, of your infrastructure, please contact us by the contact data that you see now, and we will arrange it. And also, we have 2 other products. The first product is for multi-factor authentication. It supports different authentication methods, as we mentioned, biometrics, smart cards, one-time passwords. It also can provide access in different access scenarios, remote work, Windows logon, single sign-on authentication. And another product is for management of digital certificates. And we do similar webinars on a regular basis. So if you are interested in some other questions, please send. If you're interested in some other products, stay tuned. We do such webinars, and you can also write me, for example, an email and ask when the timetable, of the next webinars. So I guess no more questions from for today. Thank you so much for joining the call. It will be the end of our today's webinar. As I told you, it was very brief. We wanted to give you the initial introduction of the product. Please stay in contact with us if you would like to have a more technical demo. We will be really glad to show it to you. And I appreciate your time. Please stay safe in this situation. And yeah, have a good day ahead. Thank you. Goodbye.